Queen Mira sat on the balcony of her palace gazing at the sparkling city of Arelon below. The city was built on cliffs that overlooked a vast glowing river of energy. Lights from the towers shimmered in blue and gold, reflecting in the water like stars fallen to earth. Mira was only 18, yet she had been queen for 6 months. Every morning she awoke to new duties, meetings with her advisors, and decisions that affected thousands. She felt the weight of the crown on her young shoulders, but she carried it with grace. The palace was alive with quiet activity. Servants moved through marble halls carrying trays of food and cups of glowing tea. Guards in silver armor patrolled the corridors, their eyes sharp for any sign of danger. Despite the beauty and elegance, Mira often felt lonely. Her days were full of rules and ceremonies, and the people around her spoke in polite tones that never quite reached her heart. Her husband, Ryan, was different from the rest of the court. He was not a prince or a soldier or a noble from a far land. He had come from a small village on the outskirts of Arelon and had won her hand through a contest of wits and kindness, a tradition that still existed in some parts of the city. Ryan was calm, thoughtful, and quiet. He spoke little in the council meetings, often letting Mira take the lead, but when he did speak, his words were clear and wise. Mira sometimes wondered what her life would have been like if she had married a powerful lord or a famous warrior. She had seen the way the other young nobles moved through the palace, their armor polished and their voices loud. They seemed strong, capable, and dangerous, and Mira admired them from afar. But Ryan was different. He seemed ordinary, almost fragile, and Mira often worried that he would not be able to protect her if danger came. The young queen rose from her seat and walked along the balcony. The wind carried a cool scent of the river and the gardens below. She loved this view, the way the city looked like it was alive with light and energy. Yet even in this beauty, she felt a small nagging worry. Arelon was a city of secrets. Powerful families had long memories, and enemies could hide behind polite faces. Mira had been warned many times about threats from within her court, but she had not yet seen danger with her own eyes. Ryan appeared quietly at the balcony door. He carried a small cup of tea, the steam curling up in delicate swirls. Mira smiled at him, though she tried to hide her nervous thoughts. "Here," Ryan said, holding out the cup. His voice was calm and steady like a quiet river. "Drink this. It will help you think clearly." Mira took the cup, noticing how warm it felt in her hands. "Thank you, Ryan," she said softly. "I sometimes wish I could be like you, calm and steady. You do not seem to worry about the palace or the city at all." Ryan shook his head.
"I worry, Mira. I worry for you every day."
"But fear can cloud judgment. You must lead with your mind, not your heart. That is what makes a good queen." Mira thought about his words. They were true. She had made decisions already that had changed the lives of many people. Yet she felt that something was missing. She wanted to feel strong, to have confidence in her own power, and to know that her husband was more than he appeared. The evening continued with soft lights in the palace halls. Dinner was served in a grand hall with ceilings that arched like the wings of a giant bird. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting the light of hanging crystals. Advisors and ministers took their seats, speaking in careful tones about trade, security, and alliances. Mira listened patiently, nodding and asking questions. She felt like she was learning every day. But the court moved slowly, weighed down by politics and old rules. Ryan sat beside her quietly, eating slowly and observing the room. He rarely spoke during these meetings, yet his presence was comforting. Sometimes Mira caught him looking at her with an expression she could not read, and it made her feel safe. She knew he was not like the other men in the court. She only did not yet know how much stronger he could be. After dinner, Mira walked through the palace gardens. The flowers glowed faintly in the light of floating lanterns, and the air smelled sweet and fresh. The gardens were large and winding, with paths that led to secret fountains and quiet benches. Mira often came here to think, to escape the rules of the court, and to imagine a world where she could make her own choices without anyone watching. Ryan followed her, keeping a small distance as he always did. "The gardens are beautiful tonight," Mira said, touching a flower that glowed softly in her hand. "It feels peaceful, almost like nothing bad could happen here." Ryan smiled faintly. "Peace is often quiet for a reason. Always remember, Mira, danger can come when you least expect it, even in the most beautiful places." Mira looked at him and laughed softly. "You always worry too much. The palace is safe. My people are loyal. Nothing can happen here. Ryan did not argue. He only walked beside her, silent but watchful. Mira sometimes felt frustrated by his caution. She wanted excitement, adventure, proof that her husband was as capable as the others she had seen in the palace, yet she also felt a strange comfort in his calm presence. The night grew deeper and the lanterns in the gardens flickered gently. Mira stopped by a fountain that sparkled like liquid crystal. She leaned over the edge, watching her reflection in the water. She saw her young face, serious eyes, and a crown that was still heavy on her head. She wondered if she was truly ready to lead, to face enemies, and to protect her people. Rian came closer, standing behind her. "You are ready, Mira," he said softly. "You have the wisdom and courage inside you, and you will never be alone." Mira turned to him, curiosity and doubt in her eyes. "How can you be so sure?" she asked. "You do not fight battles or face enemies like the others. You are ordinary." Ryan laughed quietly, a sound that made Mira smile despite herself. Ordinary is only what people see. Strength is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it is quiet, patient, and ready to act when needed. Mira looked at him, still unsure. She wanted to believe him, but her heart told her that the court held dangers she could not yet see. She wished she could know the full measure of her husband, to see if he could truly protect her if the palace ever faced a real threat. As they walked back to the palace, Mira felt a mixture of trust and doubt. The city of Erelon slept below, its towers glowing in the night. The palace was quiet, yet Mira sensed that this quiet was fragile. She did not yet know how fragile it truly was. But for now she had Rian by her side, calm and steady, a presence that gave her courage even when she could not fully understand why. The young queen returned to her chambers, her mind racing with thoughts of duty, danger, and the future. She lay down, watching the ceiling of her room that sparkled like stars in a dark sky. Mira wondered if she would ever see the strength hidden behind her husband's ordinary face. She did not yet know that very soon the quiet court would be shattered, and Ryan's true nature would be revealed in a way she could never imagine. For now, the palace was silent, and the city slept. Queen Mira, young and wise beyond her years, closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new decisions, and perhaps new dangers. She could not yet see them, but she would face them. And Rian, the man she believed ordinary, would be with her, watching, waiting, and ready for what was to come. The next morning, Queen Mira awoke to the soft hum of the palace. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting golden patterns on the marble floor. She dressed quickly in her robes of deep blue and gold, feeling the familiar weight of the crown. Today, she thought, would be a normal day. Meetings, advice from ministers, and reports from distant provinces would fill her hours. She hoped it would be quiet, a day without surprises. Rian was already in the council chamber when she arrived. He greeted her with a calm smile, carrying a small book of records in his hands. Mira felt a sense of comfort at his presence. He seemed ordinary again, reading quietly, observing the room with nothing more than gentle attention. Yet a small part of her still wondered if there was more to him than met the eye. The council began its session with news of trade and city affairs. Merchants reported on the supply of energy crystals, and advisors spoke of the needs of the citizens. Mira listened carefully, asking questions and making decisions. Ryan sat beside her, rarely speaking, but occasionally offering a thoughtful suggestion. His calm presence helped her focus even when discussions became long or confusing. As the meeting continued, a young messenger entered the room. His uniform was slightly dusty and his face was pale with urgency. He bowed before Mira. "Your Majesty, there are reports of strange visitors near the northern gates of the city. They do not carry identification and refuse to answer questions. The guards are wary, but no action has been taken yet." Mira frowned. "Strange visitors? Are they merchants?" she asked. The messenger shook his head. "No, Your Majesty. They came in the night riding small ships that do not appear on the city's radar. They have only asked to see the Queen." Ryan's eyes narrowed slightly, though his expression remained calm. "How many are there?" he asked. "3, sir," the messenger replied. "They carry no weapons that we can see, but their movement is unusual. They speak politely, but their eyes... They do not seem honest." Mira felt a shiver. She had heard warnings about threats from outside and inside the city, but she had not expected them so close. She looked at Ryan, hoping for reassurance. He nodded once quietly as if he already had a plan forming in his mind. "We will meet them with caution," he said. "Do not let fear guide your decisions. Let strategy and calm guide you." Mira appreciated his words, but a small part of her wished he would act boldly, show that strength she secretly doubted he had. She could not yet imagine that Ryan's calm demeanor hid skills that few in the kingdom could match. After the council, Mira walked through the palace corridors, thinking about the visitors. Guards patrolled with careful eyes and servants moved quickly, sensing the tension in the air. Mira could not shake the feeling that something was coming, something that would challenge everything she thought she knew about her world and her husband. Ryan followed quietly, as always. "Do you feel worried, Mira?" he asked softly. Mira sighed. "Yes, I do. But it is not just worry. It is curiosity. I wonder if these visitors are dangerous and if I am truly prepared to face them." Ryan smiled faintly. "Curiosity is good. It sharpens the mind. But remember, fear can blind you. Trust your judgment, and trust those who stand with you." Mira glanced at him, still uncertain. She wanted to believe him, yet she could not imagine that the ordinary man beside her could handle a real threat. She would soon learn that he was far from ordinary. Later that day, the visitors were brought to the palace under careful watch. 3 figures in dark cloaks entered the grand hall. They bowed politely, but their eyes scanned the room with sharp intelligence. Mira observed them closely. Their movements were precise, almost too precise, as if they had trained for this moment. "You requested to see the queen," Mira said, her voice steady but cautious. "State your purpose clearly." One of the visitors stepped forward. His voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. "Your Majesty, we bring messages from distant lands. We have come to offer guidance, friendship, and trade. Nothing more." Mira nodded slowly, though she remained suspicious. "Very well. Speak carefully. I will hear only truth in this hall." The visitor spoke politely, answering questions with careful attention. Yet something about them made Mira uneasy. Their movements were too controlled, their words too precise. She noticed that their eyes constantly shifted toward corners of the room, as if checking for unseen signals. The queen's instincts told her that they were hiding something. Ryan observed silently beside her, his gaze steady and unblinking. Mira felt a strange comfort in his presence. He did not speak, but she sensed that he was assessing every detail, noticing things she could not see. She wondered what secrets he already knew. After some time, the visitors bowed and prepared to leave. Mira felt relief, though a small warning bell rang in her mind. Something was not right. She turned to Ryan. "I do not trust them," she said quietly. Ryan nodded, his eyes calm but sharp. "Neither do I. Keep vigilance. The palace must be ready for anything." Days passed, and Mira noticed more unusual events. Guards reported strange movements in the shadows. Couriers were delayed or returned with missing messages. Whispers circulated in the market about unknown groups in the city. Each report was small, but together they formed a pattern. Mira began to feel that danger was not distant but very close. One evening, Mira and Ryan walked through the palace gardens again. The flowers glowed in soft colors and the fountains sparkled under the lights. Yet Mira could not shake the feeling of tension. "Ryan, do you think they are coming for me?" she asked softly. He stopped and looked at her, his expression serious. "I do not know, but I will protect you. No one will reach you while I am here." Mira studied him, trying to read his eyes. She wanted to see confidence, boldness, something to prove that he could act if danger came. Yet all she saw was calm determination. She did not yet know that this calm was only the surface of hidden power. That night, Mira returned to her chambers with a mind full of questions. She could feel the tension in the palace, the quiet alertness in the guards, and the unseen eyes that watched her from unknown places. She tried to sleep, but thoughts of the visitors and the strange events kept her awake. Ryan remained near, quietly reviewing records and palace reports. Mira noticed how focused he was, how his mind seemed to catch details others missed. She began to suspect that his ordinary appearance was not the full story. Perhaps there was more strength hidden in him than she could imagine. As the city slept under a sky of glowing stars, Mira understood that the palace, her home, and her city were not as safe as she had believed. Whispers of danger moved through the halls, unseen but powerful. She did not yet know when or how the threat would arrive, but she knew it was coming. And she knew that Ryan, the man she had thought ordinary, would be by her side. For the first time, Mira felt both fear and trust. Fear of what might come and trust in the quiet man who had chosen to be with her. She could not yet see the full measure of his abilities, but she sensed that soon she would. And when that time came, her life, her reign, and the palace itself would never be the same. The palace of Arelon was unusually quiet that night. The moon hung low in the sky, casting silver light over the glowing towers. Queen Mira sat in her chambers, reading reports about the city and distant provinces. She had spent the day in council meetings and had grown tired from long hours of decision-making. The events of the past week, the strange visitors and the whispers of danger, still lingered in her mind. She tried to focus on her duties, but a small feeling of unease would not leave her. Rian stood near the window, watching the palace grounds. His calm presence always reassured Mira, yet tonight she noticed something different in his posture. He was alert, muscles tense beneath his simple tunic. His eyes scanned every shadow, every movement in the gardens below. Mira felt a sudden pang of worry. She had never seen him like this. "Ryan, is something wrong?" Mira asked softly, setting aside her reports. He turned to her, voice steady but serious. "I feel a presence, Mira. Someone watches the palace tonight. Be careful if you go outside." Mira frowned. She had hoped for a peaceful evening. "I only wanted to walk in the gardens for a few minutes," she said. "It is calm tonight and the air is refreshing." Ryan nodded but did not offer to follow her immediately. "Walk, but stay close to the palace paths. Do not go near the shadows, and call for me if anything seems unusual." Mira felt a mixture of irritation and concern. She wanted to believe the night was safe, yet Rian's warning made her realize the court had become unpredictable. She stood, pulling her cloak around her shoulders, and walked into the gardens. The moonlight reflected on the fountains and the glowing flowers gave off soft colors. Everything looked beautiful, almost peaceful. Yet Mira's instincts told her that danger could strike at any moment. She walked slowly, enjoying the scent of the flowers and the sound of water from the fountains. The paths were empty and she felt a strange mix of calm and tension. Then she heard it, a soft, almost imperceptible rustle from the shadows near the northern wall. She froze, listening. The sound was deliberate, moving with careful steps. Someone or something was approaching. Rian's voice came from behind her, calm but commanding. "Step back slowly, Mira, do not run." Before she could respond, 3 figures emerged from the shadows. Their movements were fast and precise, like trained warriors. They wore dark clothes that blended with the night, and their eyes were hidden behind masks. Mira's heart pounded. She realized instantly that these were not ordinary visitors. These were assassins. "Queen Mira," one of them said, voice low and controlled. "Come with us quietly and no one will be harmed." Mira shook her head. "I will not go with you," she said firmly. "Leave now or face consequences." The assassins advanced. Their movements were fluid, and they carried small weapons that glinted in the moonlight. Mira's mind raced. She had expected threats, but not so close, not so sudden. She felt fear, but also a strange determination. She would not be taken from her palace. Before Mira could react further, Rian stepped forward. In a flash, he moved with incredible speed. One of the assassins lunged toward Mira, but Rian intercepted him. His hands struck like lightning, knocking the weapon aside and throwing the attacker to the ground. Another assassin charged, and Rian moved with agility and precision, deflecting each strike and protecting Mira from harm. Mira stared in shock. The man she had believed ordinary moved like a trained warrior, faster than any soldier she had seen in the palace. His calm demeanor had hidden a strength and skill that was extraordinary. Her fear turned into awe as she realized that Ryan was not the man she thought she knew. The assassins attacked again, more aggressively. Ryan did not hesitate. He used quick movements, dodging, striking, and disarming them with a skill that seemed almost unnatural. Mira watched, heart pounding, as her husband became a shield between her and the danger. He did not shout, he did not panic. Every move was precise, controlled, and deadly. One assassin tried to strike from behind, but Ryan turned with perfect timing, catching the attacker's arm and twisting it in a way that made him drop the weapon. Another tried to approach Mira directly, but Ryan pushed her behind a fountain and stepped in front of her, facing the threat with unwavering calm. Mira could hardly speak. She had believed Ryan ordinary, a gentle and quiet man. Now she saw the truth. He was far more capable than anyone in the palace. His training, his strength, and his instincts had been hidden under a calm exterior. He was a protector unlike any she had imagined. The fight continued for several minutes. The assassins were skilled, but Ryan was faster, stronger, and smarter. He moved with strategy, using the environment to his advantage. He knocked attackers into fountains, dodged blades with ease, and disarmed each one with controlled force. Mira realized that every moment of danger had been met with precise action, as if Ryan had been preparing for this all his life. Finally, the last assassin fell, disarmed, and unable to continue. Ryan stood between Mira and the attackers, breathing steadily, though his eyes still scanned the gardens for further threats. Mira stepped forward, trembling but safe. She looked at him with a mixture of relief and amazement. "Ryan," she whispered, I had no idea." He turned to her, expression calm but serious. "I told you, Mira. I'm not as ordinary as I appear. I trained for this to protect those I care about. You are the most important person in my life, and I will never let anyone harm you." Mira felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. She realized that the man she had thought ordinary was capable of extraordinary feats. Her heart swelled with trust and admiration. She had always known Ryan was intelligent and calm, but now she understood that his strength was far beyond what anyone in the palace could imagine. The palace guards arrived shortly after the fight. They had been alerted by the noise, but they found the attackers already defeated and Ryan standing calmly beside Mira. The guards bowed, shocked and respectful, recognizing the skill and power of the man they had underestimated. "Your Majesty, are you safe?" one of the captains asked. Mira nodded, still amazed. "Yes, thanks to Ryan," she said, her voice steady. She turned to him, eyes shining with a mix of awe and affection. "I believed you were ordinary. I was wrong." "You are extraordinary." Ryan smiled faintly, his calm demeanor returning. "Ordinary is what people see. True strength is what is hidden, waiting for the moment it is needed." Mira realized then that she had underestimated the quiet, gentle man she had married. His calm nature had been a mask for incredible skill, patience, and courage. She felt a new sense of security, knowing that her protector was not only strong but wise and thoughtful as well. The palace settled again into quiet after the attack. The moonlight reflected on the fountains and the flowers glowed softly. Mira and Ryan walked back to the palace together. She could not stop thinking about the events of the night and how her view of her husband had changed forever. "I never knew," she said softly. "I never knew you were capable of this." Ryan shook his head. "I never wanted to show it until it was necessary. Strength is most valuable when it is used wisely, not for display." Mira felt a deep respect for him. She had always admired his calmness and thoughtfulness, but now she understood that his patience and quiet nature hid true power. She realized that the palace, the city, and her life were safer because of him. That night Mira could finally sleep, knowing that the danger had passed. But she also knew that this was only the beginning. The attack had shown her that enemies were close and clever, and that the palace could never be completely safe. Yet for the first time she felt confident. With Ryan by her side, she knew she could face any threat. The young queen had learned a vital truth. Appearances could be deceiving, and those who seemed ordinary could hold extraordinary power. Mira's respect, trust, and admiration for her husband had grown beyond anything she had imagined. She understood now that Ryan's calm nature, intelligence, and hidden strength made him a protector unmatched in the kingdom. As the palace slept under the moon, Mira and Ryan stood together on the balcony, watching the glowing city. She felt a mixture of relief, awe, and determination. The night had changed her understanding of strength and protection. The palace was safe for now, but the world outside remained full of threats. Mira knew one thing clearly: she was no longer alone in facing them. And the man she had once thought ordinary had proven that he was far more extraordinary than anyone could imagine. Word count: 1 in 250. The morning after the attack, Queen Mira could hardly sleep. Her mind replayed the events of the previous night, the speed, the precision, and the quiet confidence with which Ryan had protected her. She had always known he was different from the other men in the court, but she had never imagined the true extent of his abilities. Today she needed answers. She could not simply admire his strength without understanding where it came from. Ryan entered her chambers quietly, carrying a small tray with tea and fruit. His expression was calm, yet Mira noticed a seriousness in his eyes that made her heart quicken. She gestured for him to sit. Rian, she began. Last night. What happened? How could you move like that? You seemed to know exactly what to do. Almost before the attackers acted. Ryan poured the tea, his movements precise and careful. He handed a cup to Mira and waited for her to sip before speaking. Mira, I need to tell you the truth. I have trained for this my entire life. I did not reveal it before because it was not necessary, and because revealing it could have put you at risk. Mira frowned, her curiosity sharpening. Trained? What kind of training? You have never spoken of it, Rian nodded. I come from a family of protectors. My father taught me from a young age to move quietly, to defend and to observe carefully. I trained in martial skills, strategy, and awareness. I have practiced for years, preparing for moments like last night. Mira's eyes widened. She had known Ryan as a quiet gentleman. She had thought his calm nature was simple kindness. She had not expected a history filled with rigorous training, discipline, and secret skill. Why didn't you tell me? She asked softly. I believed you were ordinary. I did not know you could do that. Ryan smiled faintly. I wanted you to see the world as it is, Mira. Appearances can mislead and enemies are always watching. I could not risk showing my full strength before it was necessary. My duty has always been to protect you in the city without putting you in danger. Mira took a deep breath, trying to process this new information. Her mind raced with questions. How many times had she underestimated him? How many dangers had passed without her knowing, because he had acted quietly in the shadows? You've hidden all of this, she said, her voice both amazed and slightly hurt. All this skill, all this strength. You kept it secret for me. Ryan reached out and took her hand gently. Not for you alone, Mira, for everyone. Strength can be dangerous if it is shown at the wrong time. I have watched and waited, learning the palace, learning the city, learning how to keep you safe without drawing attention. You are the queen. Your enemies watch carefully. My ordinary appearance is my greatest protection. Mira felt a new respect for him, deeper than before. She realized that his calm demeanor had not been weakness but strategy. Every moment of gentleness, every quiet action had been carefully chosen. He had been preparing all his life to be the guardian of someone important. And now she understood she was that person. Ryan, she said softly, I have always trusted you, but I did not know how much I could rely on you. You are extraordinary. Ryan shook his head slightly. I am only capable because I trained and because I care. Strength without purpose is meaningless. I only act when it matters. Mira thought about the attackers and the way he had moved. Every action had been precise, every strike calculated. She could see now that his ordinary appearance had been a deliberate choice, a way to remain unnoticed until the right moment. Her admiration grew, mixed with a deep sense of relief. She knew that her life, her reign, and the palace were in capable hands. I need to understand everything, Mira said. Your training, your past. Everything. I want to know the man who protects me, fully and truly. Rian nodded. He leaned back slightly and began to speak, his voice calm and measured. I was born in a small village far from the city. My father was a guardian for a family of importance in our region. He taught me that strength alone is not enough. Observation, patience, and strategy are equally important. I trained daily in martial skills, learning how to move silently, defend without hesitation, and think ahead of any threat. My mother taught me the value of wisdom and careful judgment. Together their lessons shaped the man I am today. Mira listened, fascinated. She had known Ryan as quiet and kind, but this story revealed another side entirely, a side that had prepared him to act decisively in the face of danger, to protect the queen and the city with precision and skill. When I met you, Rian continued, I saw someone who needed protection, not just from enemies but from the pressures of leadership. I chose to stay by your side quietly, learning the palace, observing your strengths and weaknesses, and preparing for the moment when danger would come. Last night was that moment. Mira felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. She realized that her husband's ordinary appearance had been a careful choice, a way to remain unnoticed until he was needed most. She also realized that she had underestimated him, and that her trust in him had been only a fraction of what it should have been. Rian, she said softly, I cannot imagine how many times you have acted without my knowledge. How many dangers you have prevented quietly. He shook his head. It is not important to count them, Mira. What matters is that you are safe and that you understand now why I acted as I did. The palace, the city, and your life are precious, and I will never allow them to be harmed. Mira looked into his eyes, searching for any hint of arrogance or pride. She found none. Only calm determination and unwavering loyalty. She realized that he was not only her protector, but also her partner, someone whose strength could match her own courage and wisdom. Ryan, she said again, I have always admired your calmness and your thoughtfulness. Now I see that they are part of your strength. I am proud to have you by my side. Ryan smiled faintly, a small warmth in his eyes. I am honored, Mira. My strength is yours, always. The young queen felt a new sense of confidence. She understood now that appearances could be deceiving, that strength could be hidden behind quiet gestures, and that true power often came from preparation, patience, and careful observation. She felt safe not because danger had disappeared, but because she knew that Ryan, the man she had once thought ordinary, was extraordinary in ways she could never have imagined. Later that day, Mira called her council together. She spoke with new confidence, her voice steady and clear. She made decisions that were bold, strategic, and careful. Her advisors noticed a change in her demeanor, a new sense of authority that came not from fear but from knowledge and trust. Ryan remained by her side, silent but attentive, watching over her and the palace. Mira felt his presence as a steadying force, a shield against unseen threats. She knew that with him beside her, she could face challenges that would have seemed impossible before. As the sun set over the city of Arelon, Mira walked through the palace gardens with Ryan. The glowing flowers and fountains reflected the last light of the day, creating a peaceful, magical scene. Yet Mira felt a new awareness of the dangers that could still come. She understood that the peace of the palace was fragile, and that enemies were clever and patient. But for the first time, she did not feel afraid. She knew that with Ryan's strength, wisdom, and vigilance, she could face whatever came next. She realized that the quiet, gentle man she had married was more than a companion. He was a guardian, a strategist, and a force capable of facing the greatest threats to her reign and her life. Ryan, she said softly, thank you for everything, for protecting me, for keeping the palace safe, and for showing me your true strength. He looked at her calmly, his eyes steady and sincere. I will always protect you, Mira. That is my duty and my choice. You are the queen, and your life is precious. I will never let anything harm you. Mira felt a deep gratitude and trust. She understood now that strength could take many forms, quiet, patient, and hidden until the moment it was needed most. She also realized that she had been given a gift beyond measure, a protector who was not only extraordinary in skill but also unwavering in loyalty and care. As the night settled over the palace, Mira and Ryan stood together on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The air was cool, the fountains shimmered, and the lights of Arelon reflected like stars. Mira knew that the world outside the palace remained full of dangers, but she also knew that she was not alone. With Ryan by her side, she could face anything. The queen had learned a vital truth. Sometimes, the people who seem ordinary are the ones with the greatest strength, and the greatest protectors often hide in plain sight. Mira understood now that her husband's calm exterior had been a mask for a lifetime of preparation, training, and courage. She trusted him completely, knowing that together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The city of Arelon awoke to a bright morning, but Queen Mira could feel the tension in the air. News of the night attack had spread quickly. Citizens spoke in whispers, and the palace corridors were filled with hurried footsteps. Guards moved in tighter formations, and ministers held urgent meetings. The threat had not disappeared. It had only become clearer. Mira stood on the balcony of her chambers looking over the city. The towers glowed with energy. The river sparkled like liquid silver, and the streets below were filled with early morning activity. Despite the beauty, she felt a deep sense of responsibility. She was young, only 18, but she knew that the safety of her city, her people, and her palace depended on her decisions. Ryan stood beside her, calm and steady. He had spent the night reviewing security measures and speaking quietly with the guards. His presence gave her strength, but Mira realized that true courage also required action on her part. She could not rely solely on Ryan, no matter how extraordinary he was. Together they had to face the dangers of the city and protect their home. Ryan, she said softly, I have been thinking. The attack last night showed me how clever our enemies are. They will not stop with one attempt. We must prepare not only for them but for anything that comes our way. Rian nodded. I agree, Mira. We need to strengthen defenses, gather intelligence, and ensure that the palace is safe. But we must also be careful. Acting too quickly can reveal weaknesses to our enemies. Mira took a deep breath. Then we act wisely, not in fear but in strategy. We will not let the city see weakness, and we will show that we are prepared. The first step was to organize the palace guards. Mira met with the captain of the guard, a stern woman named Sela, who had long served the royal family. Sela explained the current security arrangements and the patrol schedules. Mira listened carefully, asking questions, learning where the vulnerabilities were. Ryan observed silently beside her, occasionally pointing out details that Mira had not noticed. Together they made adjustments. Patrols were increased around vulnerable areas. Secret passages were secured and new observation points were added. Ryan trained a small group of guards in quick defensive techniques, showing them how to react in unexpected situations. Mira watched, fascinated by his skill and leadership. Even the most experienced soldiers seemed to learn from him quickly. After the security improvements, Mira turned her attention to the city. She called a meeting with her advisors and representatives from the nearby districts. Trade routes, energy supplies, and citizen safety were discussed. Mira spoke with confidence, making clear decisions and listening to advice. She could see that the people respected her, and her confidence inspired them. Ryan stood by her side, quietly supporting her, ready to act if any threat emerged. In the evening, Mira and Ryan walked through the palace gardens once more. The flowers glowed softly. The fountains reflected the light of the moon, and the city below sparkled. Mira felt a sense of calm, but she also knew that peace could be fragile. She turned to Ryan, her eyes serious. Ryan, last night changed everything for me. I understand now what true strength means. Not just skill, but patience, courage, and loyalty. You have shown me that humans can be more capable than anyone expects. Ryan smiled faintly. And you, Mira, have shown that leadership is not only about strength, but also about wisdom and courage. Together we are stronger than any threat that comes our way. Mira nodded. She realized that their partnership was more than marriage. It was a union of trust, skill, and shared responsibility. She knew that with Ryan by her side she could face any danger, and with her guidance the city could thrive under careful and wise leadership. The next days were filled with activity. Mira and Rian continued to strengthen palace defenses, trained guards, and held councils to prepare for any possible threat. Citizens noticed the changes. Markets were safer, patrols moved more efficiently, and the city felt more secure. Rumors of the attackers began to fade as Mira's leadership and Ryan's quiet vigilance reassured the people. One afternoon, as Mira walked through the city streets with Ryan, she observed the citizens. Children played safely in the parks, merchants sold their goods without fear, and workers moved through the city with purpose. She realized that leadership was not only about protection from enemies, but also about creating a sense of safety and confidence for her people. Ryan, she said, watching a group of children laughing, do you see this? The city feels alive, safe, and free. I think we are doing something right. Rian nodded. Yes, Mira. The people will follow a leader who protects them and acts with wisdom. Your courage inspires them as much as my actions protect them. Mira smiled. She had learned a vital lesson. Humans were capable of extraordinary achievements when guided by wisdom, courage, and determination. She felt proud of her people, proud of her city, and proud of the man standing beside her. Days turned into weeks, and the palace remained secure. No further attacks occurred, but Mira knew that vigilance was necessary. She continued to learn from Ryan, observing his strategies, understanding his planning, and seeing how he prepared for the unknown. She realized that humans could face even the most advanced threats with intelligence, courage, and teamwork. One evening, Mira and Ryan stood on the balcony watching the sunset over the city. The towers glowed orange and gold, the river reflected the colors, and the streets were peaceful. Mira felt a deep sense of confidence. She had faced danger, learned the truth about her husband, and strengthened her city and her people. Ryan, she said softly, I used to think you were ordinary. I see now that you are anything but ordinary. You are my protector, my partner, and my greatest strength. Rian placed his hand over hers. And you, Mira, are my queen, my inspiration, and my equal in courage and wisdom. Together we are stronger than any enemy, smarter than any threat, and ready for whatever comes next. Mira smiled. feeling a bond deeper than she had ever known. She understood now that humans could face any challenge, not just with strength, but with intelligence, patience, and courage. The city of Arelon was safe because they worked together, each complementing the other's abilities. As night fell, Mira and Ryan returned to their chambers. The palace was quiet, the city below sparkling under the lights. Mira felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that the dangers of the past weeks had been overcome, and that the future could be faced with confidence. She lay down, reflecting on everything she had learned. The night attack had revealed the extraordinary nature of her husband, and the days since had shown her the potential of humans to face challenges, protect one another, and lead wisely. She realized that her reign, though young, could be legendary if guided by courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Ryan remained by her side, a constant presence of strength and calm. Mira understood that appearances could be deceiving, and that true power often lay hidden, waiting for the right moment. She felt grateful, inspired, and ready for whatever challenges might come. In the days that followed, Mira continued to strengthen her rule. She implemented new strategies for the city's safety, improved communication between districts, and trained young leaders to think wisely and act bravely. Citizens noticed the changes and grew more confident in their queen and her leadership. Ryan's guidance remained subtle but powerful. He trained the guards, advised Mira, and watched for threats without drawing attention. The partnership between Mira and Ryan became legendary within the palace, a combination of human intelligence, courage, and extraordinary skill. One evening, Mira walked with Ryan in the palace gardens, the flowers glowing under soft lights. She looked up at the towers and the stars beyond. "Ryan," she said softly, "we have faced danger, learned its lessons, and made our city stronger. I feel that we can face anything together." Ryan smiled, calm and confident. "Yes, Mira. With wisdom, courage, and preparation, humans can achieve remarkable things. The palace is secure, the city is safe, and the people trust their queen. Our partnership is stronger than any threat." Mira felt a deep sense of pride. She had grown as a leader, learned the value of careful observation and planning, and discovered the extraordinary abilities of her husband. Together they had faced danger, strengthened their city, and proved that humans could rise above threats with courage, intelligence, and unity. As the night settled over Arelon, Mira and Ryan stood together on the balcony, looking at the glowing city below. The fountains shimmered, the streets were peaceful, and the towers reflected the moonlight. Mira knew that challenges would come again, but she also knew that she was not alone. With Ryan by her side, she could face any danger. With her wisdom and courage guiding the city, the people could live safely and confidently. Together they had proven that humans could achieve greatness, protect one another, and face even the most dangerous threats with intelligence and bravery. Queen Mira smiled, feeling a deep sense of hope and determination. She had learned that appearances could be deceiving, that courage and preparation were as important as strength, and that humans could be extraordinary in ways no one could anticipate. The palace was secure. The city thrived, and the young queen understood that with her guardian beside her, nothing could shake their future. Mira knew that her reign had just begun, and with Ryan she would lead her the